Right, okay then guys, welcome back to the channel. So we're here again, second part of the video. We're going to discuss the Newcastle versus Sunderland, or the Sunderland versus Newcastle derby. I'll get it the right way around. This is the second part of this. We've done Newcastle with Adam Pearson. We're now going to get the Sunderland fans, see exactly how hopeful you guys are. So jumping into it, first of all, what was your first reaction when the balls got pulled out of the hat?
Right, well I'll tell you mine because I was expecting to ask this question. I was actually in the house, but it was in a WhatsApp group. Somebody said, Newcastle in the cup. I'd start straight away.
It's a wind up.
Somebody's taking the mic. Then a second message come through, and I went, "Is this a wind up?" They went, "No, I don't see it. I don't see it." When the draw's on live now. It's on ITV. It's on one of the preview channels. So they went, honestly, I swear, go and check the air. So I put the telly on, and obviously it come on there, and I was like, God, I can't believe it. I'll be honest. I'll be totally honest. At that time, the feeling I had with all the things what was happening, I was like, it was the one team I just didn't want to get. I didn't want to get Newcastle at that time because, look at the levels of where Newcastle are now and where we are. It's been realistic, and I was thinking, but then you're thinking it's at home. We're at home. There'll be nearly 50,000 fans, behind us. You look with that respect, and you think,
40,000, but yeah.
And you think Newcastle's away from, and I was sort of talking myself around camera, but.
You're talking yourself into that.
The initial thought was excitement, but then it was like, oh God. I was like, this could be a bad day. It could be a bad day, but then I was thinking, it's the first derby in 8 years. It's the first derby in 8 years. It's going to be, the build-up, the atmosphere. How many fans they're going to get? Well, we'll come down a bit, but my first thought was like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe. I thought it was a dream in a dream world.
So you're warming up to the idea of it, yeah. I mean, since the announcement, Newcastle were high flying Champions League. Since then, it's on the decline. So I can understand why.
Quickly.
So quick.
Injuries, I think.
My initial reaction was, oh shit, when it happened. Because look,
in a bad way, I take it that, or is that?
Yeah, in a bad way. Like I live in a household where there's at least one Newcastle fan in there. So for me, it's like, oh God! Like I hate it. Even in the 6 in a row when we kept winning, it was great, obviously in the aftermath. But I felt sick in the build-up. I just do not I don't like derby games at all. Because the idea of obviously, I mean, as I'm sure Newcastle fans feel, the idea of losing to Newcastle for us is like sickening. But if you're looking at it, because I just thought, oh no, we're going to get taken up the backside here, aren't we? But it's amazing because at the time I was watching some of your videos after the Forest game, and it's amazing how a couple of your fans are really, really nervous for this game, which I kind of somehow get, but at the same time, like, you've still got players that got you in the Champions League last year, whereas we're in the Championship. So but again, being at home, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday beat us in the Cup last year. Cambridge, I think, the year before that. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
so you just. I mean, obviously, look, that doesn't mean anything on the day, but for me, I'm thinking, well, if those two teams can show up and get something, then we're better than both of them. I know football doesn't work like that. In a derby game, it's different, but at Sunderland, there's half a chance.
Michael, I think after we've digested everything, you look at it now and you look at what's happened with Newcastle. They seem to be on a bit of a bad run. Eddie Howe, the pressure's
stop trying to talk me into
it. It's the pressure that's building up on Eddie Howe. I think he's a really good manager. Is it building up? The fans just seem to be losing a little bit.
Chris, you'll be able to tell us. It sounds like Eddie Howe's like getting on thin ice with some supporters.
It's getting on the rocks. It's very Marmite. So we've got a few Facebook pages. We've got Newcastle Supporters Worldwide. I'll put the link below and everything for that one. It seems like it's a vocal minority, and you've got two different sides of the coin. You've got some people that are saying you can't blame Eddie Howe. Look at where we were 2 years ago. You're not a loyal fan. And then the other side of it thinking, oh no, but the tactical decisions have been bad. So it's very much they can't trust them ones. They can't trust them ones. But it's building up. There's definitely a lot of annoyance and anger towards Eddie Howe and a lot of frustration, and a lot of the fans see the importance of this derby and going into it's a cannot lose game. We mentioned for you guys, obviously you guys probably still are the underdogs. You're the league below and stuff like that. So for you guys, it's a pressure-less situation. Obviously you want to win all this different stuff, but if Eddie Howe loses, you could have it on your little back that we've got Eddie Howe the sack for a rival fan group. I would know it myself. I would love that if it was like, oh, we've got our rival sacked. You can imagine a lot of the fans are kind of buzzing off that. It could happen. I could see if Eddie Howe loses this, the fans could lose him the job. Obviously, PIF will discuss it with Adam Pearson, the Newcastle side of it. I don't think they're going to care too much about the Sunderland game or a cup match. It's about money and bottom line and stuff like that. So the Champions League loss was definitely probably more of an eye-opener and a frustration to them than this game would be. But this is all about the fans. People go to work with Sunderland. People live with people like that. So you can't get away from it. And much like you guys don't want to lose, and it's at the top of your priorities, it's at the top of Newcastle. The only thing that I would say, though, is form goes out the window a little bit in derby games. I kind of think with that quite a bit, yeah. But
derbies don't work like it according to form.
Going into it, the last game before the derby itself, Newcastle play Liverpool, which, I mean, I'm Newcastle through and through, but you don't want to play Liverpool at the best of times. They're high-flying, amazing, this, that, and the other. So I would imagine, and don't call us out if Newcastle win 3-0, I always said this, at time of recording, it doesn't look like Newcastle will probably get a win from that one. Be great if they did, but it probably won't. You guys, the week before, have got the team that's rock bottom of the championship. So you would imagine, just using my crystal ball, you guys will probably go in off the back of a win, and Newcastle will probably go on the back of a loss. Does that have a massive implication, or like you say, does form completely go out of the window?
It could. Well, we've got 2 games. We've got Rotherham before and away from home, but actually our record there is pretty crap. To be honest,
we've got Preston.
We've got Preston and home on New Year's Day,
so
it depends. I mean, it could do in terms of confidence. It could be in amongst that, but again, derby games don't work like that. They don't work like it doesn't matter. I think for me, the way I view it is for this game. Look, we're not delusional. We don't expect to win the game, but if we have to get beat, I expect to not get rolled over. I expect to put up a good fight. If you end up beating us and both teams are at it and you just beat us because the quality's there, then I think some of the fans won't accept it but could forgive it. If you came over and rolled us over, I don't think our fans would accept or forgive that.
What is it rolling over? Is that a 3-0 and above?
Anything bigger than a 3-goal defeat for me. Okay. Any 3 goals or bigger. I think anything up to a 2-goal. It depends on the performance.
This is what I mean. If we have a bad day, that's the worry for me. Is like, I mean, you've had Coventry 3-0, you had Middlesbrough, and I mean, not being disrespectful towards them 2 teams, but Newcastle
shouldn't be getting beat comfortably off both of them.
That's what I'm saying. But, it's just for our squad, the younger lads. They just sometimes when they can't really go down another
things
one,
go against them.
They just seem to lose track of everything, of the tactics or the philosophy, the game, the management. It's just.
But the thing is, like I said to you before, though, it can work the other way, because that mentality could be there, but a lot of the younger lads will be probably relishing this and be going, well, because if we have anything about us, we should be going out there to want to prove a point, because it's in front of the TV cameras. It's against for us the old enemy. We want to win this game, obviously. And look, I mean, no team's got a God-given right to win any game, and I'm sure that a lot of your fans would say, look, Newcastle don't have a God-given right to win this game. We have as much right to try and win it as what you do, even though it's much more likely that we will probably get beat. But yeah, I think again, at Sunderland, I mean, obviously we'll get onto the ticket fiasco, I'm sure, from our perspective, but even with 6,000 Newcastle player holders in there, like there's still going to be over 40,000 Sunderland fans.
Oh, there's still be
a lot of it. So and I've got no doubt that atmosphere will, certainly the start of the game will be something.
I'll be someone else.
That's the one thing I am looking forward to. I'm just not looking forward to the game too much.
Well, let's talk on the ticket and the day itself, away from the football side of things. So obviously we'll mention the tickets now. I think when I read, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a minimum 15% allocation that you need to give. You have given a lot more than that. It obviously might have been dictated by the police and other external forces. I'll get your guys' opinion on that. We know from the Newcastle perspective, they're going to get routed into buses very, very early for that game. They're all going to get shipped here. We're literally at the Hilton, just opposite your stadium. Had a word with the barman there just beforehand to see they're putting extra security on. They seem a little bit worried. The day itself, are you anticipating trouble, first question, and all of that comes with it? And then secondly, what is the ticketing situation as well? Are you upset that kind of a lot of tickets have been given to Newcastle more than anticipated?
Firstly, on the trouble, yeah, we'd be absolutely astonished if there's not. There's enough trouble there if there's 2,000-3,000 people. With 6,000, and some of our fans will be on the influence of alcohol as much as what Newcastle probably be. And you get some hooligans that aren't there for the game. That'll be there to be idiots, basically. Yeah, which isn't necessary, but yeah. The ticketing thing. It's
absolutely. I mean, just on the trouble, I think it's the big, for me, the biggest derby in the country, biggest derby in Britain. I think we like to mention Rangers and Celtic because
that's the only game.
It's irrelevant for me. I think it's a big derby. Yeah, it is, but. I mean, that's for me, Scotland, and
it's overplayed as well, though. They play that twice, 3-4 times a year. You're used to it. This comes along.
For me, Rangers Celtic for me is the only game derby-wise that could.
The derby.
I think that's the one. That's the one derby I think it might be argued is bigger than ours because that's also based on religion and a lot of religious hatred. No, Rangers Celtic is a huge game, so that's the only one I can think of. I might go fair enough, but in terms of like English football, there's not going to be any derbies or many that's going to have that much intensity in here. 100
Well,
is
I
what
mean,
this
a
one does.
lot of fans, obviously, since you guys went down, it was the thing that Newcastle fans will have missed the most. I know Newcastle fans will be a percentage that'll say, "Oh, I want Newcastle to go down and be in the fifth tier and sixth tier and stuff like that." A lot of Northeast fans love the derby. It's the thing that you look for as soon as the fixtures get released. Oh, come on, when's Newcastle Sunderland playing and stuff like that? It's been so long, so it's a lot of build up. You like you say, there's hooliganisms on both sides, idiots and stuff like that. This is going to be a massive day and massive occasion for a lot of people.
But it's, for me, I mean, I'll quickly go into the Northumbria police. I'm quite surprised that they've allowed 6,000, because you got to think in '97 we're talking about this, or '97, they basically Northumbria police banned Newcastle fans come to Roker Park, and obviously the banned Sunderland fans go to St James's. So they've got the power and the authority to say, look, it's 2,000 fans. I know the regulations of the FA Cup is 15%. Yeah. We can't place it. We'll give you 2,000 fans, and that's it. If he's not happy with it, we'll just say no fans at all. They could have basically, Northumbria Police could have done that. They've done it before, so you can't say they can't do it. They've done it before. I was quite shocked. The number 6,000. I mean, you're not going to be able to place everybody, because I mean 6,000. You're going to have to move them somewhere. So you couldn't put them around the top because of safety measures. And I've obviously went to this, and they've had to basically, what they've done is they've put them behind the goal, the lower tier and the above tier, the upper. They've done that so they're coming out stand, so they're coming out with just 2 blocks. So it's easy for the police to police it. If they put them around the top, like all the way around, like they did with Leeds one time, I think Leeds bought 7,000 for a cup game. Taking them all the way around. You got that thing of getting through down onto the supporters below. So I think that was the most. It was probably the safest measure. What to do was to put them behind the goal and up the team. You're not going to police people, because there's people who sat there for years. I mean, the Black Cats bar, they've got that as well. That's upset a lot of Sunderland fans. But you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It was going to upset Sunderland fans no matter where you put them. But I just think the coaches as well. I think, did you see 80 coaches going to be coming?
Well, I heard it was 80 coaches, something like that. 45 that I think they're leaving. And one of your fans, I think it was Michael, somebody on Twitter, it was supposed to be used to be a Sunderland fan, but now he's a Newcastle fan. I don't know how that worked, but yeah, no,
he put on Twitter, and they're leaving 8:45, and I'm thinking, they've got to go along it wasn't the way. I mean, you're going to get the daft lads, and you're throwing stuff at the coaches. I know the police is going to have a big escort. There's going to be somebody. There's going to be. But
isn't it a logistical nightmare though to have that many coaches? Because like the area around Stadium is quite a tight, congested area. So how are you going to?
I think everything on the day, other than the experience for the actual football fan themselves, is a nightmare. Like I say, the guys that I was speaking to here, they're concerned which way the buses are going to be coming in, because is it going to affect their windows, stuff like that. For locals, it's a big nightmare, because obviously we need to stay away from certain areas because there's football fans. For everyone other than the football fans, including the police and everything, this is the worst day of however long.
For the South and Northumbria Police, well, because I mean the Middlesbrough game and even the Newcastle, I'm pretty certain they bought the Newcastle fans by train.
Obviously you get them at St Peter's Metro and then just have to
segregate them. Walk them around the back, around the back, like the Middlesbrough.
They did it with Borough, didn't they?
I'm saying that's sort of good. They blocked that off so no Sunderland fans can go in there, so they've got that blocked off, and just basically when they come off, they just basically walk them all the way around, and then they've got that stick sort of around there. But now they're with the coaches, where they're putting all these coaches to the ground. There's not much. I mean, we used to have all that space before the beacon got there. There was loads of spaces there, but where are they going to put all them coaches?
I've got no idea, but we'll touch now on the game itself, because obviously there's so many questions off the pitch. The game itself, it's probably expected, I would say, that it's going to be a physical game. I think that's kind of expected. It's a derby, stuff like that. I mentioned it when we did the video with Adam Pearson as well, that we've got a couple of hotheads in the team with Joe Ellington and Bruno, but a couple of people who are well suited to the physical game. From the opposition side of it, is there anyone that you've got that isn't really physical, too physical? You think the physical side will suit you guys more? What do you think of the game itself?
Do you mind if I just quickly interview on the ticketing thing? Just because, for me, I'm quite strongly that I think 6,000 Newcastle fans for me is too many. I think what's the normal average away allocation at Stadium Life for like a league game?
2,200.
If say this was a Premier League,
2,000 for 2.5.
Yeah, right. So
maximum.
I understand for a cup game that you get more than 2,000. That's fine. It's the FA Cup. I've got no problem with that. For me, I think if you give them between 3,000 and 4,000, I think that's a fair allocation.
That's it.
I think that's a fair amount. And I think, I think for me, you should have just given them the whole corner of the top near the Premier Concourse. For me, the fact we've allowed Newcastle fans to get into the North Stand. And by the way, this isn't Newcastle's problem. They're going to fight for what they want, and that's fair enough. There's no problem with that. I'm annoyed and angry that Sunderland have accepted and allowed it, because we don't want Newcastle to have it. With Newcastle in terms of quality team have got an advantage as it is. We don't want to give Newcastle any more than that.
Why have they done that? Because obviously I haven't got my feet on the ground in Sunderland. I don't know all the details and stuff like that. Is it a case of they thought that Sunderland, they wouldn't fill out the pitch? Because I would imagine that's bonkers, because you'd imagine everyone and their mother and their father and everyone would go to this game. So why have they done that? If they thought they could fill the stadium with Sunderland fans, why would they do that?
For me, it comes down to one word. Money.
You think money's been involved?
I think so. I mean, look, that's me. That's just my own opinion.
There's a couple of million.
By the Newcastle owners, do you think?
Well, okay. On the condition we use that to buy a striker in January, then. But no, Joe, right? I don't know. I think the idea of kicking. The North Stand has got some season ticket holders in there, and the idea of kicking them out when they've sat in, a lot of them have sat there for so many years. Like, we know a friend of ours, Lauren, who she and her granddad have sat together, so have sat in the North Stand, and
they're moving them.
They've been kicked out. They sit in that exact area where Newcastle fans are going to be, and for me that doesn't sit right. You can't just go and kick and boot out
loyal fans
there, because but again, but like you said with PIF, with Newcastle, do they care much about this game? Does KLD, our owner, then understand the significance of this game? Because he's the majority shareholder, the buck stops with him, and he seems to have allowed this to happen.
Could that play a part in the game itself? Because obviously, if we're sounded out and it's only 2,000 compared to that,
Newcastle's going to be loud that day. That's the thing. They're going to be right on the pitch, right behind the goal. That's what I'm saying. We've never had that since 2000 when the fans got moved up to the. That was, I think, it was the Everton game. Remember the FA Cup game?
Yes, I do remember that.
Like 8,000 or
something. Yeah, I remember
that. So Newcastle are going to be the first team in the low tier, I think, is that right? Since do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. I think since then, you're right.
So your owners really made it harder for the team, really, in essence.
And you can say what you want about the money, and I understand you have to make money, but for this game, sure, this is the one fixture that you're like, no.
It's a safety thing, though. If they put them around the top, there's that thing about people throwing things down, Newcastle fans throwing under the table below. I think that was.
I think there's always going to be a risk of that anyway, though. Yeah. And even in what about the people in the lower stand? Are they just going to throw bottles on the pitch then?
But now, like if you look at Newcastle, say the goal behind the goal, they've got behind the goal, and they've got the tier, so they'll have all them seats. Yeah, so the ones above, they can't throw things down because they're going to be throwing them down on their own supporters. Yeah. So I think they've sort of tried, they've looked at everything, I think, and you're going to, no matter what happens, you're going to have to move some supporters. If they could have put them in the low tier, maybe in one of the east stand or the south stand even. Yeah. And they couldn't win either way. Yeah. But still, I still think the North would be a place of sort of, I don't know, if they've got the back end off the Saudis or what, because they could just say, look at 2,000 tickets and that's it. I don't care what their face is. We just not place it, and then there'll be no supporters come. So that's all they have to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, we don't know ultimately who's like I said, off the pitch. To be honest, the state of our club off the pitch is a joke, really. And the fact we've done so well on the pitch in recent times has masked over a lot of those things.
That worries me. Is I think Chris has said that they're going to be right behind that goal. They're going to Newcastle fans are going to make some noise.
See, but the thing is, we're going to have to do that then.
Well,
as home fans, we're going to have to match that. I'd like to hope, because our home atmosphere, in my opinion, is quite poor at the worst of times, and it really annoys me how bad it is actually. But I think for this game, like
everybody,
if our home fans at the start of the game, our home fans are not up for this, then I'm done.
They will be up for it, but Newcastle's going to make some noise. We've got, like you say,
we've got to
match them with the people around.
Ultimately, there's more of our fans than there is of theirs.
Let's match and make it
noise. Well, yeah, they're derby game, but yeah. I mean, as for the game, your question was like, who's probably the one known for physicality? I think Dan Ballard and Luke O'Nien, I think our two centre-backs are known for stuff like that.
Physical players for us.
Yeah. Luke O'Nien obviously is someone we signed as an attacking midfielder in League One, then he got shifted to right back, and then now he's
I would say Ballard's a big physical lad. Luke O'Nien's not a physical lad, he
loves a challenge, man. He loves to get in the rough and tumble.
But they're not big physical guys, are they? Like,
but you don't necessarily need to be big and physical to match physicality.
I think like Jensen seems like a type of big
lad.
Trying this is big. What's he called again? Ekwa in the middle. Yeah. He's like a big sort of. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what he.
I think with how much of a Sunderland fan he is, Dan Neil will be for this game.
Well, he's a local lad.
Yeah, he'll know what it means. Need all of them on the pitch.
I think he'll be telling other players, even the ones who's not aware of the derby. I think
they'll be made aware of it. At the end of the day, if we have to lose, then go down with a big fight. Then
this is the one game. Look at. I didn't like losing, but look at just give 150% on that day, and that's all we ask for. That's all I want. And if it's not good enough on the day, because Newcastle's, let's
got
be
a
honest,
better squad than fair enough.
Let's be totally honest, Newcastle at this moment in time are levels, you know, above us. We just got to. But on like I say, in FA Cup or Cup games like Sheffield Wednesday did, like watch that game last season. What you've got to do is, what we've got to do is, you've got to get behind the players. The players have got to get in your faces. You've got to put the tackles in.
Stop them playing.
And make it turn it. Because if it's a proper football match, Newcastle play well, we play well, Newcastle's going to win. It's as simple as that.
How do you see the match going? Because Newcastle normally, other than the last couple of weeks, very high intensity, press everything like that, attack, all that different stuff. You guys, from looking at it from the outside, are missing a kind of striker, that key kind of potent finisher. How do you see the game itself going?
We might have a new one in by then. Look, we might.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't like it.
But I think Burst will be going back to Chelsea, so we might have another one by then.
I think for this game, what I can see is, well, it depends how smart we are as a team and how smart we are as a coach with Michael Beale. That if I was Michael Beale, I'd be saying, get in their faces, make it as ugly as possible, and stop their level of playing. Because if we try to go toe to toe, look, we should get murdered. And I think I'm hoping that we should be too smart to try and do that. I think a lot of our fans wouldn't like the idea of us sitting back and letting Newcastle dominate the ball, but I think this is a sensible one.
I don't think we will do that. I don't think.
No. I don't mind it too. I think do you remember like the home game against Leeds the other week? Like that was, in terms of discipline and structure. That was a brilliant. We're going to need something. That's what we need to do in this game.
That's exactly what we're going to do, and that's why I think when Mike Dodds was in charge for that game, I thought that game was just tactically
it was brilliant. It's got
limited leads to
and we had the better chances as well. We deserved to win the game.
And if it could be like, if it's like a game like that, I'm just hoping that Bale can sort of come.
If he's got a score prediction as well, because I know obviously we're going to say probably hearts and heads, but if we take away everything, what do you honestly feel if you had to put money on it? Where would your money be?
I think we're going to ask them, Michael, like, if we can get it at half time 0-0, right, and the fans will still be honest, if we can just keep it tight and get to the last 20. I'm just thinking of 1-0 to us. That's not the best case scenario, But if you turn up and we can't, control you, and we can't, it could be a really bad.
I think for me, the thing that gives us hope is because your away form recently has been
terrible.
really
gives me hope,
and at the stadium, like, it's going to be, well, what we should be doing as fans is making it as hostile an atmosphere as possible.
Got to get
and I don't think your players would. Well, it depends on you, because a lot of your players haven't played in this game. I think none of your players have played in this game. I think of your current squad, none of them have played in this.
Have you got any local lads in? Oh, that's something.
Sean Longstaff's one of them.
Yeah, we've got that, and then weve got some that are on the bench. So we've got Dummett and a couple of others. We've also got Miley as well, 17-year-old. That might be a big ask.
But again,
being played.
Because some of them will be. Well, I'm not being funny. We should be having good enough to get a Dummett, to be honest. But
He'd probably not get in.
He'll
okay then. Yeah. But I guess depends on injuries in the next week, doesn't it? For me, if we get it, because Kieran Trippier is one example we've talked about off camera about this, that his form's dipped, and for me, Jack Clarke should be relishing that.
He should be.
I know that Kieran Trippier is, because Kieran Trippier, since he signed, has been one of the best right backs in the country, and should be probably starting for England. But recently he has been struggling, and I think if I was us, I'd be saying to Jack Clarke, get at him, because I watched highlights of the Forest game, and what Forest did was attack the full back positions constantly.
Well, Clarke for me is your best player, especially on his day. If he has one of them days against us,
and
that's
like
a big win.
Obviously, from you won't hope this, but from our perspective, we hope that Jack Clarke will be thinking, right, come on, I fancy this.
He's got to fancy
especially
it. He's got to. Robert, do you know what? Now I think could really thinking on the day. Oh, I think could really. If
you're going to say Robertson, he's an end product. If he gets an end product,
I really do. I think he could maybe focus on Clarke on the left, and I think Roberts has got so much skill, and
he's got so much technical ability.
He has, honestly. Just a couple more weeks with the derby. When is it coming up? It's a week now.
It's just a week ago. It's just a week on Saturday.
Bale's getting them.
So, for me, right. Well, from your honest prediction, right. Well, heart and head are saying two different things, as I've said. If I'm looking at it from my head, I think we'll get beat 3-1. I obviously hope I'm wrong there, but
I was asking my thing. I was just thinking best case scenario 1-0. Yeah.
Well, what's your head say?
I don't want to see it.
We'll not clip it up.
Does your head think we'll get beat?
I think we'll get hammered.
Do you get hammered? Okay. And my head says I think we'll lose 3-1. My heart says we'll win 2-1. But that's better. I think for me, if we're going to, we've said this loads of times, I've said it to you before we recorded, if we're going to beat you, it's got to be in this game.
It kills me. Sorry, it kills me to see that man that we get hammered. I just think of it because.
For me, this should be motivation for us to get close to their level in the future, because I'm not funny, we should be a big enough club to attract the investment to do that. Like we should, I'm not saying get to Champions League or anything, but like if you look what Brighton are doing, I mean Brighton have been able to give you a game despite you having a better squad. So for me, we should be able to get to that point in the next few years.
So what score are you going for then? If I have to put you on a score.
Fine, since I do reverse psychology, but I'm done his word, I'll say 3-1 Newcastle out of reverse psychology.
Right. And obviously, I did think we'd get beat off West Brom. I thought we'd get beat off Leeds, and we won them 2 games.
So just say we'll lose then. Just say we'll lose then. Just say we'll lose and hope it works.
I just
Go on, just lose and touch wood.
Just don't concede an early goal and we keep it tight.
Well, it'd be nice
if we score an early goal, that would just raise the roof.
A lot of that depends.
That's what we need to try and do. Get an early goal.
If we get in front, then I'm curious to see how both sets of players react.
Oh, that'd be a hell of a. You'd have to flick over if you're watching something else as a neutral or anything. 1-0 up. That's wow.
Yeah. If we can just get an early goal,
unmissable.
but look, it's not. Look at what gives me hope is like
if Sheffield Wednesday can do it, then
and Newcastle's form, like you see, away football form this season's been pretty poor. We've got to and there's just little things of Eddie Howe, is he under pressure, and some of these players they've never played in a way time derby before. It gives us a little bit of hope, and it's taught on the day when Michael Beale and
can think of a tactical masterclass to
a
get the better of him.
That's what I'm just hoping.
That's what we're hoping for, but it's more hope than expectation.
Who were you worried about from a Newcastle perspective most?
Before you said most, I would have gone.
Isak is for me straight away. I said Isak is the one player who can just. He's got pace, he's got skill, and he's the one at the top of that thing. Bruno's
he's out of form at the moment, though. That might bode well for you. He's not banging them in. Yeah, he's killing me in fantasy football.
This is where I'm more nervous though, because anyone who's out of form when they come against us, before you said who worries us most, I've gone everyone. But
Gordon, Isak was the 2 names for me. Was the 2.
Gordon's amongst it. If I had to pick, I think probably Bruno. I think Bruno could be something that if he's on his game, I think he could run the game in the middle of the park.
Tell you what, Ekwa doesn't thing him on the day.
Ekwa needs to wake up. Like I said before, I think our players are going to have the game of their lives in this one to make sure that we don't let them.
Get us excited now thinking about them and nervous.
Yeah, you're getting me excited. I hate you for that.
I mean, you mentioned Bruno. For me, he's a concern because I've mentioned this off camera. Him and Joelinton, I love them. I think they're both physical, but when they're on a yellow card, they don't adjust their play, and it terrifies me.
For me, I'll be looking at that. I'll be looking to exploit that because we have to try. I want us to try and wind Newcastle players up and go, right, come on then, let's get these niggly little fouls in, get in their heads, get them frustrated, and then say if one of them gets sent off, then it could be a level in playing field.
Is that much easier to do because there's no VAR, so you can get them little sneaky jabs and everything.
And Luke 19's what's the word?
Shithouse.
That's the one. He can do something like that, or he'll be trying to.
If he keeps his discipline, look, 9, I think he'd love this game.
He'll be trying to do things.
But keeping his discipline is the big thing. It's whether he does or not.
I think we'll get a good 60 minutes out of Bruno and Joelinton, and I think they'll have to come off. I can see them picking and booking up, and I can see Eddie Howe having.
As long as we're like 3-0 up by that point, then it's over. But yeah, it's not going to happen that way, is it?
I just think it's just like I said, exciting. Just us three talking about there, and Newcastle perspective. Sunderland, obviously, me and you. It's just building up. Everything we've got 2 more.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, we've got 2 more games, and then once we get past New Year's Day, then the build-up's going to be.
I've got to work on Thursday for a lot of Newcastle lads, and that's going to be
you poor soul.
We'll have to do this after win, lose or draw. Whoever's embarrassed, whoever what happened, we'll have to do the analysis.
Oh God!
But you guys are the underdogs, right? So the pressure's on Eddie Howe. He could get sacked. This could be the last game. Obviously, we'll touch on that a little bit. There's huge pressure on the Newcastle players because they've been underperforming recently. How is it for you guys going in as no pressure? There's obviously pressure. There is pressure because
but in comparison to Newcastle,
comparatively, yeah. How does that benefit you guys as well, or is that a bad thing? Because if we lose, it could be a sacking. There could be all sorts. It could be riots. If you guys lose, other than a bit of a bruised ego, is there anything horrendous for you? I don't think it'll unsettle your league campaign. I don't think too much will come from a really bad result.
For me, it depends on the scoreline and the performance. If we lose, but we've lost 2-1 or something, but we really made his work. But if we had a real go and made his work for it, then I'd be like, right, okay, I can't stomach losing to Newcastle, but I can forgive it and move on quicker. Because I think, right, okay, the bottom line is they've got the better side. We gave them a good goal, made them work for it, and you go, well, okay, that's one thing. If we got battered, as I said, I wouldn't forgive that. I wouldn't forgive a lack of effort in this game.
You feel for Michael Beale as well, because he's already up against it. Well, he was off the first game, but then he lost 3-0, but then we've won We won the day, and I thought we played well. I thought
he needed that result, didn't he?
I thought we played really well. Yeah. Imagine if Michael Bale wins that game against Newcastle.
Oh, he'll have a statue and it'll be hero.
He'll be an absolute legend.
Folklore.
Just to win that game.
That's it.
He'll be an absolute legend. Honestly, he will, Michael.
No, absolutely. I think you're right.
And I couldn't see Tony Mowbray winning that game.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, that's the way of getting the fans on side. We talked about it in the last video about how there's a portion of fans that are against them straight away. That's one result.
That's definitely. I mean, for me, I don't think a head coach or manager's reign should be defined on one derby result. Personally, but at the same time, I mean, look, with Eddie Howe, he obviously is under pressure, but again, if there's a negative atmosphere among Newcastle around at the minute, then Sunderland should be taking advantage of that, especially when we're at home. Yeah. For me, if we lost, and like I said, we lost by 1 or 2 goals and we gave a fight, you just go, right, okay, fair enough. It's obviously horrible, but you move on. You just move on and just go, right, okay, let's just focus on the championship. But eventually, the point I'd look at it is, if we lose, then if we get promoted, we're going to be playing these again anyway. And for us to get to where I think we should be getting to as a club, Newcastle Sunderland's going to be a regular fixture, isn't it? So we've got to get used to playing it again.
Well, I mean, that's what we're going to touch on in the next video a little bit more about the second half.
I promise I didn't segue intentionally there.
No, I've segued it though. Yeah. So it's looking at the second half of the season, how likely you guys are to get promoted, how you are set up, because it's obviously very competitive around there. So we'll touch on that in the next video. Thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget, like, follow, subscribe. We'll be touching on Sunderland. This is the second of the 3-part video as well. So be sure to follow that and follow these guys on YouTube as well.
Thank you.
Cheers.